malevolent, and it was all part of a megalithic experiment. The fire rains from the heavens on these innocents. The wild flames bring death to genetic prints. Bring majestic rejection, malevolent, and it was all part of a megalithic experiment.
250 million years ago, when herds of reptilian birds roamed the fields, we growing what they all flourished on the earth for 3 periods. So, but then at 65 they all died out in a mysterious explosion. Now we're opening up the ground all around the planet, on every continent, finding them down below beneath granite and dirt embedded into stone. All these fossils abandoned and some are damaged, all are rare, some specimens are gigantic. So I'm wondering why these bones have radioactive traces, unexplained and it's dangerous. Supposedly they were ancient, dating way before the A-bomb explosions and devastation. The perfect extermination, unknown and disturbing, ain't it? Sleep tools touch that gene pool match, and a rat lab with a vast mastery of hereditary and genetic experiments. But beauty's in the past, you see. It's a tragedy that the masters had to eliminate this huge majesty. They purged the earth, burned it, beginning us in a new tapestry.
The fire rains from the heavens on these innocents. The wild flames bring death to genetic prints. Bring majestic rejection, malevolent, and it was all part of a megalithic experiment. The fire rains from the heavens on these innocents. The wild flames bring death to genetic prints. Bring majestic rejection, malevolent, and it was all part of a megalithic experiment.
Life will find a course unless scientists drop warheads from an orbit with force, and every cold of our planet absorbs the hit. But it's scorching the forest where hordes of them are there snoring and dormant. Of course now they're roaring in torment. This is death divine, the dust nets the sky, and thus nests will die because the rest will lie in silence. The once vibrant and blessed for lives are now lying under pine trunks and left behind. Then they released a disease to clean up all the residue. It's resident genocide of experiments to end a loop, bend the rules, wipe out all the life and then begin anew with little humans made in their image and likeness, mendable, moldable, controllable, honeable, with no major threats, because every terrible lizard species was just laid to rest. For something they didn't know, they had to pay the debt. They gazed up at the heavens and then wept when it was raining death.
The fire rains from the heavens on these innocents. The wild flames bring death to genetic prints. Bring majestic rejection, malevolent, and it was all part of a megalithic experiment. The fire rains from the heavens on these
The angelic power. To tap into the angelic essence, you must come to understand the core kinetic abilities and their function. 1. Telepathy. The reading of the mind has to do with an advanced form of reading body language and knowing human reactions to certain scenarios. Being able to recognize these body language reactions that correspond to human behavior is the first beginner's experience. Then anticipating the choice the person will make based on personality traits of what type of person they are. Those quick to act without thinking are prone to act aggressively or violently to most scenarios, for example. Become a master of these techniques and soon it will seem to others and even yourself that you're reading their mind, because you instinctively know the options and most probable choices they'll make. This skill is key to telling who may be possessed by a demon on a large crowd, or who may be a ward murderer or pedophile, and who may be as innocent as they claim. When you master this technique, you will have the power to dodge bulls by not even having to be caught up in the bulls. Oh yeah, and be able to discern the innocent from the guilty, and the ability to even foresee a violent act before it takes place. But in that you must remember there is always free will, that meaning just because the person may have the thought of mugging someone does mean they have decided to do it yet too. Astral projection. This is recommended for the experienced kinetic user. It has implications that could be dangerous and is best understood by learning other core functions before mastering this one. The core foundation of astral projection is converting your other senses and central thought patterns to converge someplace away from your own body. Through means of reflection and concentration of your sensory receptions to function someplace other than your body, or centralizing your senses to receive signals the same way they would with your body, but concentrated in an artificial energy duplicate of your body and its functioning senses, then relaying that information to be received by your body's actual senses receptors. You can project yourself or a concentrated energy pattern of energy created by your brain waves focused on a certain area and formed by the imagination's mind's eye, or that place you go to in your mind when school was boring to daydream. On a sensory level only though. Others cannot see you, sometimes they can sense your presence. As you become more experienced, you will be able to see objects around you by your sensory perception of an object's physical form, and eventually even be able to receive optical sensory and colors and project them back to your mind's optical receptor to process that image. 3. Empathic adaptation. If your mind understands the process of motion when, say, birds fly and the fundamentals of how their wingspan works aerodynamically, then you can replicate that and fly as well. A natural side effect that comes with this skill is empathic connections with animals, since their communication is basically used by the sensory skill and emulating what they perceive around them to display what their intentions are. So like a dog or cat or almost any mammal that cocks its head slightly to the left or right and then pokes its nose out slightly is a sign of curiosity, and they will sometimes use this motion as a universal sign to another animal that it is curious about it. Once again, combining behavior anticipation patterns with sensory functionality creates a sense of other animals' intentions and thus an empathic connection. 4. Telekinesis. This is the generalized reference of those who have the natural ability to tap into an enhanced set of neurologically controlled skills that is regulated through the use of the pineal gland within the brain. Telekinesis is the ability to tap directly into the energies that define these skills. The brain's reaction to certain neurologically produced chemicals cause the brain to send out slightly altered brainwave impulses into the pineal gland, which activates the kinetically enhanced skills within the brain. Telekinesis can allow a person to alter and sense the flow of objects' motion because the process of motion builds up momentum, and that momentum produces kinetic energy. So a skilled enough telekinetic can alter the path of motion of objects by redirect the kinetic flow, such as asteroids, oncoming cars and even bullets. But it has other uses in these modern times. A telekinetic can not only receive digital information but can also send out digital signals, allowing access to satellite systems and even military intelligence. I think that's enough material for right now. I'm sure the DoD will have a field day with this information, even though it's a private video, but let's not kid ourselves. We all know nothing is private anymore. Take a while, work on that, and we'll converse later once I am able to translate more of the angelic texts, and we'll go deeper down the angelic rabbit hole of diaper stain lore. He get it was a corny flying baby joke.